Hello, everybody. Today is September 9th. It's currently 9:49 p.m. I'm still a little sick. As you can hear my voice, I can barely hang on to a grasp, but I decided to go live for a little bit because I just want to pre-ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be streaming Casey Anthony's trials finally. I've been putting it off so much because it's a lot of trials, but it'll be my first stream of trials. I just wanted to come on and just, talk for a little bit, relax. A pre Casey Anthony trial, a pre Casey Anthony trial stream, and just hang out with you guys for a little bit. There's not really much a topic to talk about tonight. We can talk about anything, any cases you want to talk about. Doesn't matter. I just want to jump on and see. I did have to put on my Discord that I was live because I'd be forgetting. I forget all the time to put it on my Discord. But hang on. Okay. Yeah, I've been dealing with allergies for 4 or 5 days already. So I started off with a sore throat. I felt like I was gonna get a sore throat. I was sneezing a lot. So I said, oh, it's my allergies. And then the days after that leading to now, it's been nothing but sharp pain in my throat. My voice is butchered. I can't talk. I have tons of mucus in my in my throat, and it just sucks. That's it. It's just that. It's just my throat. It's not even my nose or anything else hurting. It's just literally my throat. I have a bad sore throat. But I mean, my voice is kind of here. I just think that it goes in and out as it pleases. But I was gonna go live yesterday, but I was not feeling good. My voice was not 100% there. I mean, it's still not 100% here either. But I was one of the things that they said, if you want to get rid of the mucus to go down. Apparently, my doctor said if I talk, it'll help. But then other people are no, you should rest your voice. So I'm kind of let's just try it out with talking and see what happens. But I did want to talk about, now I'm here, the Lincoln Snelling case, because there has been lots of updates. Abby Balabi has been putting out lots of updates about it as well on her Facebook. So, I wanted to talk about Lincoln tonight too. And then I wanted to talk about that girl who I think she got stabbed or something in the train. I wanted to talk a little bit about that too, because that's going to be our next case. Either Friday or Sunday, or maybe next weekend. I have to see. But sorry. Remember I told you that I couldn't confirm it, but a lot of people were saying that Lincoln Snelling's ex, some people allegedly said that he was the father of the baby. Some were saying it was her boyfriend she's with now. All these other things. And hold on, wait. Can you hear me? I know my voice is loose, but let me see. Can you hear me, or is am I being butchered again? Can you hear me, or is am I being butchered? Okay, yeah, you can hear me. But yeah, so a lot of people were saying that the ex-boyfriend was the father of the baby. Some were saying it was her boyfriend now. I can't confirm that. I still don't know, but apparently her ex-boyfriend decided to give a DNA sample for PD. And it is true. It is confirmed that she did leave the university. She did drop out of the University of Kentucky. So that's 100% true. I know we were talking about it the other night. where we said she dropped out, but we couldn't confirm. Well, they confirmed that she did end up dropping out of the University of Kentucky. So the ex-boyfriend of Lincoln is testing his DNA to determine whether he is the father of the newborn found deceased in her closet. His name is Isaiah Hall. He gave police the DNA sample to determine whether it matches the baby boy that Lincoln is accused of wrapping in a towel, stashing in a garbage bag, and hiding in her closet at her off-campus residence in Lexington. Oh, bro, what am I clicking on? It's gonna be an ad. But yeah, so he ended up giving DNA. He was like, "Look, I just want to know if that's my son or not." It's still unconfirmed if her now boyfriend is going to give DNA. Nobody has heard from him. He hasn't made any comment or anything. I know she has court at the end of this month almost. But I want to show you. Let me see. Let me look up Abby's thing. I think on my Facebook. If only my voice was like good, I would be good. Cause this hurts. Like it's itchy. My allergies always act up around this time of the year. But not like this. I've never experienced just a sore throat, just my sore throat. I've always had like the other symptoms. Let me see. Balabi. I think I'm saying her name wrong. Abby Balabi. And two, my Wi-Fi has been going out like so bad. My phone has been going off too of like what's going on in Russia and Poland. Some people are suggesting that to let me get a cough drop. While it's low, let me get some cough drops. Okay. So according to, let me share this tab instead. There it goes. So this is the case I want. Hang on, guys. Okay, sorry about that. This is the case that I want to talk about next after Casey Anthony. It's so sad. Seeing it, I was just like, oh my God. So I do want to see it. And of course, Abby, shout out to Abby Balabi. Make sure you go follow her. She posted, I think she got a hold of the full video. And I watched it and it was so sad. It was so hard to see. Because I'm kind of like, why didn't the other folks in the train, go to her to help her in any way? They kind of just turned the other way and ignored her. So I do want to talk about it. That's a case I want to talk about. Next. So oh, don't know what that was. Let me get, because instead of just scrolling to her Facebook, Because all my stuff is coming up. Let me see. Oh. Okay. What's this? I'm trying to find that one update Abby posted. Shout out to Abby. Right here. Okay. So I said go follow Abby. So I'm assuming people have reached out to Abby involving Lincoln. And since we said I received over, I've never run into make things abuse of minor should be also I know information. Wait, what? Hold on. Maybe I'm missing a part. Yeah, I'm missing parts. Hold on. Sorry, I'm eating a cough drop too because I was choking. I wasn't joking. I was coughing on stream. Okay, so I guess people have reached out to Abby. Allegedly, it's all alleged speculation. I got this source from Abby Balabi. You can follow her on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I think she has a YouTube. But people have reached out to her involving Lincoln Snelling's baby. It was all alleged, in opinion. On my end, I'm saying it for legal reasons. Somebody reached out to her and said that the baby allegedly was a full-term weight, under 6 pounds, head full of black hair, even had baby sideburns. Apparently they had a service for the baby, and she attended. I think they're talking about Lincoln had attended. They can't bury him yet till all testing is done. Said her father is devastated, but that the mom was cold about it. Would not call the baby nothing but it. And when she talked about it, the reason she went to the hospital, they were making sure she had delivered all the afterbirth so she would not get sepsis. People are harassing the baby's father's family. He truly did not know she had been around any of us since the birthday party in February. That was the last time we saw her. So they're saying that allegedly, all alleged speculation, that the baby was full term, that Lincoln's father was devastated. Her mom was very no emotion to the core, and that her boyfriend, he didn't know that she was pregnant and anything like that. He didn't know any of that. In my opinion, I think he's lying. I think he knew. And then another text said that she also said that she knew she was pregnant and she didn't want her parents to know. So she was waiting until she got back to Kentucky to use student health to get prenatal care. I mean, my opinion, I think Lincoln knew. She had to have knew she was pregnant. Girl, you saw that bump. You saw everything. I mean, like I said, this is another Alexi Treviso case. I'm trying to see what else. About Lincoln? She knew. Lincoln knew. 100% in my opinion. She knew. And I feel like the boyfriend did too, and he's just trying to cover himself up. Now, if he didn't know, then that's crazy. How do you not know? Like, you're with your girlfriend all the time. Like, you didn't see the bump. You didn't feel the bump. It's crazy. Let me see. I'm trying to find another article. Pretty much it just said that she dropped out of college at the ex-boyfriend's giving DNA. And what is this? Yeah, pretty much that's it. So the autopsy is still inconclusive. They still want to do more tests to make sure. But it just breaks my heart. Now, what was that one? Hmm, I want to talk about this one next. This is gonna be our next case during Casey Anthony. Man, we have a lot of stuff to talk about on Casey Anthony. All her trials. Oof. I feel like I'm gonna butcher her name. So this is the one I want to talk about next. A Ukrainian refugee, Irana, look of horror after she was fatally stabbed on train as her final moments are revealed. I want to talk about it. Um, Slaughtered Ukrainian refugee Irina looked up at her killer with terror in her eyes after he repeatedly stabbed her with a pocket knife as no passengers came immediately to her aid. To her aid, disturbing new release surveillance footage shows. The new extended clip from the August 22nd attack on the Lynx Blue Lane train shows a 23-year-old cowering in fear and covering her face within her hands after the shocking, unprovoked attack allegedly carried out by a homeless repeat felon, D. Carlos Brown. I mean, if he's a felon, why don't they keep him in jail? How many felons are they letting like walk loose? Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, bro? Um, so Irana, who had came to the U.S. in 2022 seeking safety after Russia invaded her country, pulls up her legs, which can be seen splattered with her bodily fluids in the video. Bro, like it hurt me because I'm like, why didn't they do anything? I think he got up. Somebody got up and followed him. I thought I saw someone get up, but I'm kind of like, why didn't the other ones come to her aid, and help stop the bleeding? Yeah, it was him. Okay, so he got up and I think followed him. But I'm kind of like, why didn't the other three, go to her and be like, hold on, let me help you stop bleeding? Oh my God. I'm trying to pull it up. The video shows multiple passengers looking shocked and confused before a man in a gray hoodie stands up and follows Brown down the train while a woman in red glances over at her before turning back and looking out the window. Lady, get up and help her. I know it's scary to see, but I mean, I would get up and help her. Like, you know, and I think that's what a lot of people on like TikTok are so pissed about because they're like, why didn't they get up and help her? Why didn't they, try to do something to at least, save her? Um, so heroic passengers tried to perform CPR on the victim, as one man took his shirt off to undress her wound, or to address her wound. Another one ran to tell the train operator what had happened to get them to stop the train, and Brown was arrested as he stepped off the train. Oh, so I guess they did help. Okay. I don't know. It made it seem like they didn't help. I only saw half of the footage. I didn't see the full thing. Okay, so I guess they did help. My bad. I'm not always right, guys. Not always. I'm not perfect. If I was perfect, I would be a Barbie. Another ran. Okay, a blood trail was seen left behind by Brown as he walked down the train car before ripping off his hoodie. Brown was seen watching Irina for some time after she sat down in the seat in front of him before pulling out what appeared to be a pocket knife. But why though? Like, why'd you have to stab her for? I mean, imagine like, I mean, she was just coming to the United States because of what was going on in Russia. But like, that's so sad and that sucks. Like, I mean, she's coming here to the United States for like a better life, and then like the criminals here take her life. Like, that's just so horrible. She's so pretty too. A criminal, a career criminal. He had 13 prior convictions, including for armed robbery, and was released without bail in a trial pending when he allegedly killed Irina. Wait, what? So then why was he released on bail? You should have left him in jail. He was federally charged with one count of committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system. The brutal attack on Irina on the Charlotte Light Rail was a disgraceful act that should have never happened in America. The FBI jumped to assist in this investigation immediately to ensure justice is served, and the perpetrator was never released from jail to kill again, or he is never released from jail to kill again. Should never let him out in the first place. The heck? Yo, she was just coming to the United States just to live a peaceful life. Did you see what's going on with Russia and everything? That's crazy. I want to thank Attorney General Pam Bondi for her pursuit of today's federal charges. There are a few steps toward delivering injustice for Irina and her family, as well as the millions of Americans who deserve to live in great America cities free from being targeted by violent criminals. Well, I mean, you didn't do anything. Yeah, period. Thanks, Judge. Should be thrown in her. Exactly. These judges be making, like, the wrong mistakes. Like, did y'all see that one guy who, I think it was today, the guy who went into, I think this elderly couple let him go into his house. He killed them and then he burned them, and they're still looking for him. And the judge let him out knowing he had like a violent past too. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, look at Jake Harrow. I mean, they let him out knowing what he did to the baby. Like, are you kidding me? I feel like our system has always been like FUCK, and it still is, which sucks. Bondi said the Department of Justice will seek the maximum penalty for Brown, calling last month's attack a direct result of failed soft on crime policies that put criminals before innocent people on Tuesday. They need to look into that judge. I would have thrown the judge in jail too. Like, yo, you let this criminal out? We will seek the maximum penalty for this unforgivable act of violence. He will never again see the light of day as a free man. It is hoped the federal charge will bring her, I think it's Irina's family, a measure of justice, the local FBI bureau chief in Charlotte said. We hope the charge will help bring her family a measure of justice, and the courts will hold the suspect charged in this horrific act accountable. Yeah. I mean, you better leave him in there. You better not take him out. I mean, let's just like, this is him, no? This is him, yeah. What the heck? Should leave him in there. Let me see if I can find the other one. I gotta find like the recent one. I think it was in Queens. Yeah. So Irina, if I'm saying your name right, if I'm not, I'm sorry. That's gonna be our next case, and this one as well. Politics aside, Pam is doing the right thing. Ooh. I don't really talk about politics on my channel just because, like, I have some people who we can agree to disagree, but I got some people like trolls who come in sometimes and they'll start saying like dumb things. But I mean, hey, your freedom of speech matters too. I don't really like to talk about politics or religion, mostly. Wait, what? Flash flood in California? It's raining in California? This is another case I want to talk about. Is this it? Shelter. No, this is not it. My bad. Wrong one. I'm talking about the one that happened in, I think it was New York. Was it New York? Yes. New York. There we go. I don't know where that one came from. Okay. So a 76-year-old man and a 76-year-old man was stabbed, and a 77-year-old woman, which is his wife, severely burned in horrific double homicide in New York. This is the one I was talking about. I'm going to let it play because my voice is starting to hurt a little bit. Let me know if y'all can hear it. Oh, it's ABC. I might get copyrighted. Every time I play CBS or ABC, no, every time I play ABC, I always get copyrighted. I hope I don't. Dang. I don't think I will. Hopefully I don't. YouTube is so strict. Let me see.
This fire turned into a homicide investigation yesterday, and the details are disturbing. Police believe a man and a woman inside the home were set on fire, and sources tell Eyewitness News that the man's remains were found tied to a pole in the basement. And just into our newsroom, we have surveillance video of that suspect. Take a look at your screen. You can see a man walking on the sidewalk in broad daylight. You can see he's wearing a black jacket, a black hat, along with black shoes, and he's holding what looks like a duffel bag. And police say the victims who were set on fire are a 77-year-old man and a 78-year-old woman. Officials say the fire started just before 3:30 p.m. yesterday on 254th Street near 87th Drive in the Belrose section of Queens. And you can see the fire burned the kitchen, the windows blown out, and the interior completely charred. A neighbor captured a picture of the flames, and Newscopter 7 was overhead showing the quick response from firefighters who got in and out of the home in less than an hour. And neighbors tell Eyewitness News that the man and woman who lived inside the home had been there for at least 40 years and raised a family. But back out here live at this time, the names of those victims have not been released. But of course, this is an ongoing story, so we'll continue to stay on top of this story for you. But for now, live in Belrose, Jaysha Patel, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
I have myself muted. So Irina, and this one is two cases I like to talk about in one. It's so sad. I mean, you can't trust nobody nowadays. And it sucks because a lot of elderly people like to help. No matter what goes on this world, there's some that like to help. And I mean, why would you do that though? Like to two elderly people, like why? Like just why? Like that's just so cruel. Like, you know, like they were trying to help you and you had like cruel intentions to just, are you freaking kidding me? I hope they find this guy and put him in jail. I mean, this is him. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, he was going to door, and then the elderly couple answered it, let him in. And then he does that to them? Like, are you freaking kidding me? But I heard he has, like, a long history of, like, background. And again, the judge let him out. What's up with these judges letting them out? You know they're violent. They got, like, a long criminal history. Why do you let them out, bro? Keep them in there. There's no need to let these criminals walk out, like to walk free, like leave them in there. It is crazy. It is sad. My prayers go out to that family. And Irana's family too. I mean, my prayers are out for her family too, because oh my God. It is so sad. I'm trying to see if there's any other update. If not, I just might end it because I feel my allergies starting to a little worse. But tomorrow we're gonna watch. Hold on. Casey Anthony. We're gonna be streaming her trials tomorrow night. So I hope you are ready for that. But before I end it, let's just watch a little bit of part 1. There's so many parts of her trials. This is gonna be my first trial stream. I've never done a trial stream in my life. I know you have to talk so you don't get copyrighted. So noted. So let's look at a little bit of the opening statements, and we're going to finish it off tomorrow. I'm going to watch half of it. I hope you guys are ready for this.
State recognized presence of jury.
And there goes my Wi-Fi. I don't know why my Wi-Fi does this all the time.
And does the defense. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I hope you had a safe trip over. Hope all is well. Okay. Now, did you heed all my previous admonitions while we were absent from each other, not to read, watch, nor listen to any news accounts of this case? Not to discuss this case with anyone. And last but not least, not to engage in any internet searches or any type of social media type searches. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected and sworn as the jury to try the case of the state of Florida versus Casey Marie Anthony. This is a criminal case. The defendant is charged with the crimes of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and 4 counts of providing false information to a law enforcement officer. The definition of the elements of those crimes will be explained to you later. It is your solemn responsibility to determine if the state has proved its accusations beyond a reasonable doubt against the defendant. Your verdict must be based solely on the evidence or lack of evidence and the law. The indictment is not evidence and is not to be considered by you as any proof of guilt. It is the judge's responsibility to decide which laws apply to this case and to explain those laws to you. It is your responsibility to decide what the facts of this case may be and to apply the law to those facts. Thus, the province of the jury and the province of the court are well defined and they do not overlap. This is one of the fundamental principles of our system of justice. Before proceeding further, it would be helpful if you understand how a trial is conducted. At the beginning of the trial, attorneys will have an opportunity, if they wish, to make an opening statement. The opening statement gives the attorneys a chance to tell you what evidence they believe will be presented during the trial. What the lawyers say is not evidence, and you are not to consider it as such. Following opening statements, witnesses will be called to testify under oath. They will be examined and cross-examined by the attorneys. Documents and other exhibits also may be produced as evidence. After the evidence has been presented, the attorneys will have an opportunity to make their final arguments. Following arguments by the attorneys, the court will instruct you on the law applicable to the case. After the instructions are given, you will then retire to consider your verdict. You should not form any definite or fixed opinions on the merits of the case until you have heard all of the evidence, the argument of the lawyers, and the instructions on the law by the judge. Until that time, you should not discuss.
So while the judge talks, if you're new to my channel and don't know who Casey Anthony is, we've done lives regarding Casey Anthony. So if you'd like to see the Casey Anthony live, you can definitely go back into my channel and you could look at the Casey Anthony stream that we did. We're not done. We're currently starting the trials. We're going to be streaming her trials now. And then we're going to talk about it and discuss. And then we're going to go and look at Casey Anthony again, because apparently she came out and had some words to say. Apparently she's an advocate. She wants to bring light on what happened that day and for her daughter. We all know Casey Anthony. We know her as the top mom. I feel like she knew she did it. A lot of people are speculating that maybe the parents were involved. I think, in my opinion, allegedly, I think the dad was involved. Sorry. But yeah, we're gonna be streaming her trials. This is my first live I've done of streaming trials, so I know you do have to commentary on like during it, so you don't get copyrighted. But we're watching opening trials, and right now the judge is just explaining some stuff to the jury. But I'm trying to get the attorneys where they talk, their opening statements. I think it's right here. Okay, yeah, you here.
Brother Lee.
Okay,
Jury selection proceedings. This is the
there we go.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Orange County. As we have heard several times throughout the course of the jury selection proceedings, this is the case of the state of Florida versus Casey Marie Anthony. However, it is time to tell the story of a little girl named Kaylee. Eventually, at about 8 o'clock that night, somebody at the Anthony home, Cindy, you will hear from the testimony, contacts her son, Casey Anthony's older brother, Lee. Lee Anthony tries to find his sister based on some research he did on people's Facebook pages, where he hears or reads or learns that his sister is going to be at a nightclub in downtown Orlando that night. So Lee Anthony gathers up his girlfriend or fiance, Mallory, and they go downtown, and Lee searches for Casey and can't find her. During this process, Lee Anthony had sent a message or called Annie Downing, one of Casey Anthony's friends, who alerted Casey Anthony that her brother was looking for her. Casey Anthony, you will hear, got herself out of downtown Orlando. Day 19, Friday, July 4th. Casey Anthony is perpetuating this lie to her mother that they're in Jacksonville. However, she tells her former fiance, Jesse Grund, that Kaylee's at SeaWorld with the nanny. You will hear from an individual by the name of Will Waters, the guy Casey met July 4th, 2008. That she was at his house planning a party for the 4th of July. And they went to Lake Eola, which is in downtown Orlando, where they have an annual 4th of July fireworks display. And he took a picture. Casey Anthony having a good time on the 4th of July of 2008. Tony Lazzaro comes home on day 20, Saturday, July 5th. Before he arrives, Casey Anthony is captured on video with Will Waters at an IKEA here in Orlando. No Kaylee Anthony. Is talking excitedly about the fact that her boyfriend, Tony, is coming back from New York. And goes to a place called Buffalo Wild Wings that night with Tony. In the meantime, she didn't forget to tell her mother that her car is now broken down in Jacksonville. And Jeffrey Hopkins is helping her get it fixed. And now we're not going to be back till July 12th. Another week. Buying time, the evidence will show. She tells Cindy that Kaylee Anthony is now staying with Jeffrey Hopkins' mother and Jeffrey Hopkins' son, Zachary. You will hear from Jeffrey Hopkins that none of that's true. So we go through day 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. No one knows where Kaylee is. And Casey Anthony is just gallivanting around Orlando, captured on video at Target, captured on video at a Bank of America eventually. And there's no Kaylee Anthony on any of these videos. So where is she? On Friday, July 11th, day 26, Casey Anthony's back at Fusion, a nightclub. On July 12th, day 27, Cindy is getting text messages from Casey that she's still in Jacksonville. She's really at a Winn-Dixie at 9:30 that night, captured on video. Sunday, July 13th, which is now day 28. Casey Anthony tells her mother that they had to stay longer past July 12th in Jacksonville because of a wedding. Jeff Hopkins' mother's wedding. And finally, we get to day 30. Tuesday, July 15th of 2008. You will hear that over the weekend, George and Cindy Anthony were doing some yard work and had noticed that a letter had been placed in their front door. They had to go to the post office to retrieve whatever this item was. George Anthony was unable to accomplish or take care of that errand on July 14th. So on July 15th, he goes to the post office, retrieves this letter, and it's from Johnson's record. Although Casey Anthony had exclusive possession of the white Pontiac Sunfire, the car was titled in George and Cindy Anthony's name. And so when it was towed to Johnson's Wrecker, the wrecker company eventually sent a letter to the registered owners, George and Cindy Anthony. Here's where your car is. Come get it and bring cash. So George and Cindy Anthony drive to Johnson's Wrecker, and while Mrs. Anthony deals with the people at the front desk, George Anthony goes with an individual by the name of Simon Birch to retrieve the car. Along the way, George Anthony is telling Mr. Birch of these problems that the family is having, that he hasn't seen his granddaughter or his daughter for days. And as they approach the vehicle, an overwhelming smell is emanating from it. And it's coming from the trunk. George Anthony will tell you that he said a silent prayer, that it was neither his daughter or his granddaughter that he would find in the trunk of that car. Simon Birch, who you will learn has spent many years in the tow business and has seen and heard and smelled just about everything associated with a car, including when someone committed suicide inside a car and it sat for days. So Simon Birch will give you his opinion based on this experience about what that smell was. And as that's going through his mind, and he hears George Anthony making these statements about his missing daughter and granddaughter, Simon Birch as well is hoping that they're not going to find a body in the trunk. And when the trunk is open, there's a bag of garbage inside. And you will hear that Simon Birch took that bag of garbage and threw it over a fence at Johnson's Wrecker and eventually placed it into a dumpster there. George Anthony got into that car, drove it home. When Cynthia Anthony had her first contact with the car, her words to George Anthony were, "Jesus, what died?" at which point her husband proceeded to tell her that there had been garbage in the car. So George and Cindy Anthony go back to their house on Hope Spring Drive. Now, obviously frustrated about the fact that this car is not in Jacksonville, where Casey said she was with Caleb. And that it had been, they learned, at this tow yard since June 30th. So they knew she was lying. George Anthony had to be at work at 3 o'clock that afternoon. They put the car in the garage at their house to air out. Cindy Anthony goes back to work as well and is communicating about the smell to her coworkers. And they eventually convince her she needs to call the police. Cindy Anthony texts Casey Anthony about 4:30 that afternoon that there's a major problem, that she needs to contact her. In the meantime, while all this is going on with George and Cindy Anthony, Casey Anthony is happily in her friend Amy Huizenga's car, because days earlier, Amy had taken a trip to Puerto Rico. And now Casey has her car. And on July 15th in the afternoon, Casey Anthony makes an appointment for another tattoo. Tells the guy at the tattoo place that she's gonna bring Kaylee in with her when she gets this tattoo. Is captured on a Bank of America surveillance video, cashing a check about 1:30. As she's driving to the airport, she speaks with a woman, a girl, a young lady by the name of Erica Gonzalez. Gives Erica the impression that Kaylee's in the car with her. When she picks up Amy, she tells Amy that she got a call from Kaylee Anthony that day on her cell phone. And eventually, Amy Huizenga drops off Casey Anthony at her boyfriend, Tony Lazzaro's apartment. Amy Huizenga, you will hear from the testimony, goes with friends of hers in her car to the Florida Mall. And Cindy Anthony is at home, trying to figure out a way to get in touch with Casey Anthony. And so she goes through items that were left in the car. Kaylee's car seat was in the car. Casey Anthony's shoes are in the car. Some clothes are in the car. There are dryer sheets in the car. There are items in the trunk, in a bin in the car. There is a bag that Cindy Anthony thought Casey used for work. And in that bag is contact information for Amy Huizenga. who Cindy Anthony never met. So Cindy Anthony calls Amy Huizenga and asks if she's seen Casey or Kaylee. Well, Amy just saw Casey. She knows exactly where she is. And even though the two had never met, Cindy Anthony on that day, on July 15th of 2008, is not going to be denied access to her granddaughter to the point where she is tracking down her daughter Casey's friends. Despite some hesitation, and because of the sound in Cindy Anthony's voice, Amy Huizenga agrees to allow Cindy Anthony to come pick her up at the Florida Mall. And Cindy Anthony drives down there, gets Amy in the car, is telling her all about what's been going on. And Amy directs Cindy Anthony to Tony Lazzaro's apartment. Amy goes up to the door with Cindy behind her, knocks on it, and gets Casey Anthony out of there. Kaylee Anthony's not there. Where's Kaylee Anthony? You will hear that Cindy Anthony basically pulls Casey out of there without her phone, without her belongings. And she gets in the car. They drop Amy off. And at this point, Cindy Anthony is not going to be denied access to her granddaughter, who has now been gone for a month.
I do have to make commentary, but is he asleep? Did he fall asleep? I do have to make commentary, or I'll get copyrighted. But is he asleep? Oh my god! I saw him earlier. He looked like he was like, just out of it. But like, is he asleep? Did he fall asleep? Wait. Oh, he is asleep. Oh, he fell asleep. I knew it. I saw him earlier looking like he was going to fall asleep, but he fell asleep. Oh, man. Okay. So there's Cindy and George, and apparently Cindy and George are going to take the stand along with other witnesses as well. I think she mentioned Simon, the tow guy who had the car in his possession, and then a friend of Casey, which is named Amy. And I think a few more people they said they were going to have on the stand as well. But what are your thoughts on just what was said right now? We haven't even got to her attorney's side yet of his opening statements. We're just on the state side. What are your opinions on their opening statement right now? Just the way Casey, like, her facial expression is, you can tell she's like very, like, I don't know, in my opinion, I think she's very like pissed off. She's very not emotion, kind of like, why am I here? But she did mention about her being at clubs during the 4th of July, which is true. There is pictures of her clubbing it out during that whole 4th of July week, and everyone's like, where's Kaylee? Where's Kaylee? And she's ignoring them. And the fact that she kind of nodded her head like kind of like, no, like, what do you mean no? Like, what were you doing 4th of July? Like, It's loading. There it goes.
Tries the same old Zanny story with Cindy. But Cindy Anthony will not be denied access to her granddaughter. And since Casey Anthony is stonewalling, telling her mother she doesn't want to upset Kaylee, she doesn't want this routine that she's now in, Kaylee's going to be upset, Cindy has had enough and decides that the only way I am going to get access to my granddaughter is to get the police involved. So a 911 call from her car, from the parking lot of that Orlando Police Department substation. During the course of this trial, you will hear that first call that Cindy Anthony made to the Orlando Police Department. Got her arrested. The dispatcher from the Orlando Police Department is trying to determine if there is a crime that's been committed and where that crime has occurred. So in making this inquiry, it is determined that the address on Hope Spring Drive, where the Anthonys live, is actually within the jurisdiction of the Orange County Sheriff, not the Orlando Police Department. And they gave Anthony a choice about whether or not she wants to wait on the side of the road for a deputy to show up or go back to her house and make another call, and she chooses the latter. During this exchange, and while there is some dead air between the dispatcher and Cindy Anthony, you can hear Cindy Anthony threatening to take Kaylee away from Casey. And Casey Anthony asked her for one minute. You will learn that during this exchange, George Anthony, who's been apprised of some of this, not all of it, some of it, calls Lee Anthony, Casey's older brother, and says, "You need to get to the house." So Lee Anthony, who lives in the area, arrives at the house on Hope Spring Drive just before Cindy and Casey Anthony. And as they pull up, they get out, they rush in, he gets no information. There's the car in the garage. He notices himself that there is an overpowering smell, indescribable smell associated with that car. And as they all rush in the house, Cindy Anthony basically tells Lee to get information from your sister. She's not telling me anything. I want her to take me to Kaylee now. Shortly thereafter, Cindy Anthony makes her second 911 call, which you will hear. This time it goes to the Orange County Sheriff's Office. And she again talks about having her daughter arrested and mentions at that time a possible missing 3-year-old. dispatcher, in trying to get some information, elicits from Cindy Anthony that her daughter, Casey, will not tell her where Kaylee is. So when patrol units of the Orange County Sheriff's Office are initially dispatched to this call, they're unsure whether or not this is a stolen vehicle call. Is this some other theft call? Is this a domestic incident? Because while Cindy Anthony is waiting, and it does take a while for the sheriff's office to arrive based on the priority levels that they give calls, Lee Anthony is talking to Casey Anthony, who is now in her room. And Lee Anthony is trying to convince Casey Anthony to just take mom, Cindy, to Kaylee. What's the problem? This is going to happen anyway. Why are you doing this? To the point where Lee Anthony eventually engages in what can only be termed as a role-playing episode with his sister, where Lee Anthony pretends to be the police officer and says, "Miss Anthony, good evening. I see that you're having a problem here with your mother. Why don't we just resolve this? You take us to the child and everything will be fine. We'll all go home. We'll all be happy."
Let's stop for a moment. It's been going for about an hour and a half. Let jurors take a break. We're going to take a recess. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to take a 15-minute recess at this time. I'm going to ask you not to discuss this case among yourselves nor with anyone else. Please remember all of my previous admonitions. We'll be in recess for 15 minutes.
Rat House. Sorry, my voice is like still butchered. How are you? How's your day? I actually saw your live last night. I caught replay. I fell asleep because I took let me pause that in the back. I took medicine, but I caught replay today. Y'all should go subscribe to Rat House Media. Drop your link below. I gotta put you on the Nightbot command so that way you can just type in exclamation Rat House Media and then it pops up. But drop your link. Man, did he say that was like an hour and something that she was talking? That felt like it was only 10 minutes on my end, like she was talking. But what do you think about her opening statement? I mean, she said literally everything we talked about on that live stream where Cindy, called the cops on Casey and was like, "I'm calling the cops on you because you stole and you're not telling me the truth where my granddaughter is." And I mean, she was to the T. Like everything we talked about on that live, she repeated everything we said, literally everything to the T. If you haven't seen that live stream, you should go back and watch it because we dug deep into it. And Casey Anthony, yes, she is a master manipulator. She did steal a lot from a lot of people. A lot of her friends and some of her family members said that she did steal and that she did like to manipulate a lot of people, like a lot. So I'm very curious on what her attorneys have to say on their opening statements.
Previous admonitions. Ms. Burdick, you may continue.
At the break, we were speaking of Lee Anthony's efforts to convince his sister Casey of her need to just tell Cindy, their mother, where Kaylee Anthony was. That resisting, fighting, just not giving the information was counterproductive and would ultimately result in the same ending regardless. That whether or not Casey did it, or Lee did it, or the police did it, that they were all going to see Kaylee that night. However, in a pattern that is repeated throughout this case, when Casey Anthony's lie can no longer stand, when she can't get out of the corner that she has painted herself into, when her back is up against the wall, and when the stakes increase, what does Casey Anthony do? What does she do? Casey Anthony comes up with a new, a bigger, and a better lie. It is at this point, with her back against the wall, with her brother telling her that the result of this disagreement that you are having with our mother will end in our mother's favor, that Casey Anthony first says these words: Kaylee was kidnapped by the babysitter. The babysitter that nobody has ever seen, that nobody ever saw, that her parents didn't know, that her brother had never heard of. Kaylee has been kidnapped by Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. And upon hearing this information, all Kaylee's Uncle Lee could think of was nothing. He goes into vapor lock. He can't believe his ears. He has to focus now on solving this problem. And even though Cindy Anthony, the evidence will show, had to realize that her daughter had lied and lied and lied and lied for 31 days about where she was, about where Kaylee was, about what they were doing. At that moment, Cindy Anthony had to believe her daughter. Although her first response, according to the testimony that you'll hear from Lee Anthony, is, "What did you do?" Her first response directed at Casey Anthony, "What did you do?" And at that point, this story, the evidence will show, had its desired effect to take the focus off of Casey Anthony. Her mother was in her face. Her brother is in her face. How do you get out of that? You tell another lie. Cindy Anthony goes into an all-out panic. At this point, 911, again, the third time on the phone, and you will hear Cindy Anthony's panic 911 call to the Orange County Sheriff, the third call she made that day. And this time she is hysterical. Cindy Anthony wants Casey Anthony to speak to the dispatcher on the phone. You can hear the exchange. And then you can hear Casey Anthony get on the phone like nothing. With the attitude, why do you people want to talk to me?
Why is she shaking her head? Did you notice that? She shook her head again. Jose Baez accused the dad during his, yeah, I remember he did. Yeah, lurkers say hey and give a like. She kept that look the entire trial. Did she really? But I'm kind of like, why are you shaking your head no? Like, she shakes her head no. This is her second time doing it. She did it when they mentioned the July 4th clubbing. She shook it. She shook it no. And now she's doing it again. I'm kind of like, why are you shaking it no? Girl, that's the truth. Like, there's evidence that you did all this. Even the 911 call, we heard it and we talked about it, where Cindy's like, here, talk to Casey. Casey talked to 911, and you can hear her in the background arguing with someone else. Like, even in a 911 call, she sounded nonchalant. Like, she didn't sound concerned, hysterical, or anything. She was just very, like, nonchalant.
I don't want to talk to them. During this call, Cindy Anthony tells the dispatcher from the Orange County Sheriff's Office that her granddaughter was kidnapped. I cannot find my granddaughter. Something is wrong. It smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car. As you will learn, as this trial unfolds, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, as do all police agencies, keep a almost second by second accounting of their response to a call. You will learn that the first officer that arrived at the Anthony residence was Corporal Rendon Fletcher. Now, Corporal Fletcher's dispatch was to the second call. So he's not completely apprised until he gets there of the seriousness of this call. Eventually, after learning from Lee Anthony and Cindy Anthony and Casey Anthony in the home that Kaylee is missing and this Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez has Kaylee, the Orange County Sheriff's Office begins to gather information about locating this person. And one of the things that is told to them by Casey Anthony is that Zanny, or Zenaida, lives at the Sawgrass Apartments, which is off of Conway Road in Orlando. So deputies with the Orange County Sheriff's Office asked Casey to show them the last place she saw her daughter 31 days ago. And she gets into the car with Adriana Acevedo, a deputy with the Orange County Sheriff. Rendon Fletcher, the corporal that first responded to the call, follows in case he needs to do follow-up with the people at the Sawgrass Apartments. And they drive in to the location at the direction of Casey Anthony. She points out the apartment where she last saw her daughter, Kaylee, and says, that's where I dropped Kaylee off on June 9th, 2008. Rendon Fletcher finds somebody with this apartment complex, somebody in management or maintenance, And it's determined that while this is July, now 16th probably, 2008, nobody's lived in that apartment since February of 2008. The prior occupants were evicted. So when these deputies from the Orange County Sheriff's Office returned to the Anthony home with Casey and no Kaylee, what does Cindy Anthony do? She continues to insist that something be done. That Casey is lying, that somebody needs to arrest her. She needs to tell me where Kaylee is. During this process, deputies send somebody to Tony Lazzaro's apartment where Casey's cell phone was. And her belongings were later retrieved by her brother, who went to the apartment. Kaylee Anthony was not there either. One of the things that Casey Anthony told them had to do with having contact information for this Zanny person in her phone. So the deputies retrieve that phone and attempt to get any information that night off of it that they can in an effort to find this person who allegedly has Casey Anthony's daughter, Kaylee. They ask Casey Anthony to put pen to paper. Tell us everything that you can tell us about what happened and about this person that you say kidnapped your daughter. They were there to help find Kaylee Anthony. So what does the evidence show Casey Anthony did at the first opportunity given to her to put pen to paper? She writes, on Monday, June 9th, 2008, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. I, Casey Anthony, took my daughter, Kaylee Marie Anthony, to her nanny's apartment. June 9th, on Monday, June 9th, 2008. The first words written to the Orange County Sheriff about the disappearance of Kaylee Anthony are a lie. This statement is single-spaced, 4 pages, and during the course of this trial, you have the opportunity to review it, and you will see that it's 4 pages of lies. The patrol supervisors at the scene of the Anthony's that morning, July 16th, now 2008, decided that they needed to call a detective out to the house to follow up in this investigation, to tell the detective what their findings were, at least preliminarily. While they're waiting for the arrival of the detective, the sergeant on the scene, Reginald Posey, took Casey Anthony on a short walk. There's a cul-de-sac that is 2 or 3 houses down from her residence and asked her, is this a domestic situation? Is it just a matter of you don't want your mom to have access to your child? And Detective Hosey is left with the impression from Casey Anthony that night that this is no big deal. And that her child is fine. At 4 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, July 16th, Detective Yuri Melich, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, first arrives at the Anthony house. He gets a copy, or he reviews that handwritten statement of Casey Anthony, and he asks to speak with her. She talks with him in a room in the house. He ultimately tape records their conversation, and he says, is this true? Do you want to change anything on this statement? And Casey Anthony says, no, sir, no way. This is what happened. I'm telling you the truth. One of the things that she had relayed to the Orange County Sheriff's Office was that she had a phone, another phone that was lost at Universal Studios where she worked, that there were people who were employees of Universal Studios who she had told about this situation. Detective Melich again asked if Casey Anthony could take him to the location where she says she last saw her daughter at the Sawgrass Apartments, and she takes him right back to that same place where she took the patrol officers. He asks if there are other people related to this Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez that he could contact in an effort to locate Kaylee Anthony. She takes him in the area of another residence, supposedly of Zenaida Gonzalez's mother. No one is contacted, nobody is found. They return to the Hope Spring house with no Kaylee. Casey Anthony goes back in her house, and Yuri Melich begins his investigation. And that investigation begins at Universal Studios. Yuri Melich contacts an employee of Universal Studios by the name of Leonard Tutura in an effort to determine where Casey Anthony works, where these other people that she said can be contacted work, how they can be contacted. And Detective Melich learns Casey Anthony doesn't work at Universal Studios. Casey Anthony hasn't worked at Universal Studios for years. These people that she told you were here, they don't work here. So Detective Melich, with the assistance of his supervisor, Sergeant John Allen, and another detective by the name of Appy Wells, made contact with Casey. The first contact is made by Detective Melich over the phone, where he calls Casey Anthony and says, you work at Universal Studios, and this is the information, verifying what she had told him before. She's like, yes, absolutely, of course. Yes, you're right, that's it. He knows it's a lie. Maybe they all have it wrong. Casey comes out to Universal Studios, we can clear this all up. Maybe we're not getting the names right. Maybe I wrote it down wrong. And she is contacted and agrees to come out to Universal Studios. So Detective Melich is there with Leonard Tutora, and John Allen and Appy Wells go to the Anthony house, pick up Casey Anthony, and she accompanies them to Universal Studios. She directs them where to park, just has idle chit chat with them on the way, and they get to the security gate at Universal Studios, and she's denied access. They're suggesting she doesn't work here. They ask her for her identification. She tells them, I forgot it, I don't have it. Leonard Tutura, who's there with Yuri Melich, allows them to come in anyway. And there, Casey Anthony is supposed to show them the office where she works and where she lost her phone, or where there might be some information about Zenaida Gonzalez. And you will hear testimony that Casey Anthony walks with purpose through that security gate and heads towards an administration building, walks in, and true to what we've seen, or you will see during this case, is at the end of the hall. And she puts her hands in her back pocket and smiles. All right, I don't work here. Detectives Allen, Wells, and Melich then speak with Casey Anthony on tape in a conference room at Universal Studios, where she admits to them that she's been lying to them about working at Universal. Because that's the lie the evidence will show they caught her in. But she will not waver at that point from her story about the name. So in an effort to find this person she insists exists, the detectives take her from Universal and show her pictures in the driver's license database of individuals with the name Zenaida Gonzalez. She doesn't know any of them. None of these Zenaida Gonzalez's on your driver's license pictures are my Zenaida Gonzalez. At this point, since Casey Anthony admitted to them that she lied during the process of this investigation, she was arrested. And at this point, the investigation, by necessity, takes two different paths. There is the investigation that continued into attempting to locate this person that Casey Anthony
Good night, Red House. Thank you for being here. I'm actually going to wrap it up soon in a little bit. Danny the Nanny, yes. Nancy Grace was obsessed and had a massive crowd every night. We were hooked. Bombshell tonight. Yeah, I'm trying to find the Nancy Grace one where she talked about that case. I found some of them, not all of them, but I'm trying to find all of them because I want to put it on there. Hit the like, lurkers. Yeah, hit the like. Hit the like. Beta blockers. Head shake. Yeah. She told hundreds of lies. She did tell hundreds and hundreds of lies. Thank you for being here. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to Red House Media. I'm going to drop his link. I know he's going to leave because he's got to work in the morning. I'm going to drop his link, Dawn Marie's, and other links. So make sure you guys go and subscribe to them. She was on the TV HLN, I think. Yeah, I found it, HLN. I should show it right now. But I'm going to get all those videos and I'm going to play Nancy Grace where she talks about Casey Anthony. Even today, she still talks about Casey Anthony. I think it's this one. This one. Let's play it. If it loads, there it goes.
Many people have asked me why America is so invested in the Casey Anthony murder trial. At first I thought it was because of something about her.
Yes.
But the more I looked at the case, the more I now believe it is because many of us feel we have come to know Kelly Anthony. Kelly went missing around June 16, 3 years ago. For nearly a month, no one knew she was missing. The only person that seemed to know this was Kelly's mother. The way that authorities were first alerted to this case is Cindy Anthony went looking for her daughter, Casey. She had been out of the home where she lived for nearly a month, and she was found at her live-in boyfriend's home. When the grandmother got here, there was a big cat fight, a big confrontation, and it was only then that the grandmother, Cindy Anthony, learns Kelly's been gone for a month.
The babysitter took her months ago that my daughter's been looking for. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. She just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Many months passed before the remains of her 2-year-old little girl, Kelly, were found just 15 houses from the Anthony home in a heavily wooded area. Cause of death is undetermined due to the decomposed state of the body, but around the little 2-year-old girl's body was found several things from the Anthony home, including bed accoutrement that matched up to Kelly's bedroom, trash bags from the home, duct tape from the home, many other things that can allegedly be traced back to the home. Also, on the home computer, very damning searches were later discovered through computer forensics. Searches for code words like homemade chloroform. Prosecutors believe that Top Mom chloroformed her daughter and left her to die. If Casey Anthony is in fact found guilty at this phase of the trial, she will then go on to another phase called sentencing phase. In this case, the state has found numerous criteria for aggravating circumstances to seek the death penalty. Then that same jury panel, who is so intimately familiar with the facts of the case, moves to the second phase of the trial, which is the sentencing phase. At that phase, the jury will then determine whether Top Mom will get life without parole, life behind bars with the possibility of parole, or the Florida death penalty.
All right, y'all. I'm actually going to end it because it's already almost 2 hours. It's late. I know people got to be up at work early. My allergies are starting to act up. And now I actually got a nosebleed, so now I gotta go take care of my little nosebleed situation. But here's Rat House Media's link. Y'all go subscribe to Rat House Media. Tomorrow we'll be back on live again, just to finish off where we are with Casey Anthony and see more of Nancy Grace calling her top mom. But yeah, I appreciate you guys all being here. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Shout out to all my mods. You guys are amazing. But yeah, I hope you guys have a rest of your amazing Tuesday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you for being here. Bye, guys.